I wasn't supposed to be there. That's the truth. I was sent to deliver linens to one of the upper decks and I took the wrong turn, or maybe I didn't. Maybe something in me wanted to see what I wasn't meant to see. The corridor was too quiet, the air too clean, the kind of silence that tells you you've wandered into money's territory. I should have gone back, but then I heard it, laughter. Not the sharp kind people use to fill space, but the kind that escapes, unplanned, like water over a rock. I don't know what made me look. Maybe the laugh, maybe the light, but there she was, standing by the window, her reflection mixing with the sea. She wasn't dressed for a ballroom or a photo. Just simple clothes, but on her it looked like something I couldn't name. She saw me. I swear she did. And instead of looking away, instead of turning me invisible the way rich people do, she tilted her head like she was curious. "You look lost," she said. I forgot how to answer. My brain offered three truths: I am lost, I don't belong here, you're the most beautiful person I've ever seen, and none of them made it to my mouth. I'm running an errand, I managed. Her smile was small, like she didn't believe me but wasn't going to press. "An errand that brought you up here?" "Wrong turn," I admitted. My hands tightened on the bundle of towels, the only shield I had. She stepped closer, and for a moment I thought she might scold me, or worse, call someone. Instead, she lowered her voice. "Don't worry. I take wrong turns all the time." I almost laughed. Her taking a wrong turn? In a world built for her? But the way she said it, I knew she meant more than hallways. The silence stretched, but it wasn't heavy. It was fragile, like something rare that would break if I breathed too loud. "What's your name?" she asked. I hesitated. Names have weight. Once you give them, you can't take them back. But hers was already written across my chest, even though I hadn't heard it yet. I told her mine. She repeated it softly, like she was testing the sound, and for a second it felt like I belonged to the ship after all, or at least to this moment. Then footsteps echoed down the corridor. Sharp, impatient. Her body tensed. Without thinking, she reached out and touched my arm, just a brush, but enough to freeze me where I stood. "You should go," she whispered. I did. But the whole way back down, her voice walked with me. At 4, the ship announced itself with a horn so deep it found the bones I'd inherited and hummed in them. I was in the service lift when it went, and the woman with the soups crossed herself without stopping her hands. The floor trembled, the way the earth does when a train passes under it, and the corners of the galley held onto the light as if it might slide. "We're off," someone said. No one stopped working. I leaned against a stack of white plates and thought of the estate, of our thin curtains, of my grandmother's radio scanning for a voice. I tried to imagine the house from up here, the town, the crooked shortcut to the shop. The map wouldn't draw itself. It was as if leaving made the old lines erase. At 4:30 Marco clapped my shoulder. "You do good," he said. "We settle at 9. Stay for the dinner shift and you'll sleep well enough to forget your name." "I don't sleep much," I said. "You will," he said, and laughed like someone who knows the shape of a day and the size of a bed at the end of it. He sent me with another list and for a while there was no room in my head for thoughts that weren't, this pan, that tray, those stairs, the clock. It's a mercy, how work can be a lid on your thoughts. Then someone asked me to run towels to a staff cabin 2 decks up and I took a wrong turn that felt like a right one until the carpet appeared again and the air changed and I knew I was where I wasn't supposed to be. I should have turned back. I should have pressed the lift button and gone down into the heat where my name didn't matter. But the corridor ahead was quiet and the sea through the windows was the color of something I didn't have a word for. I stood there, just breathing, the towels heavy in my arms, and let the ship carry me like a pocket carries a coin. Not precious. Not noticed. But carried. I tell you this because this is the moment I keep returning to when I try to understand everything that happened after. Not the first time I saw her, that came later, and it felt like a door opening and a hand pulling me through. Not the storm. Not the end. This, here, me in a corridor I had no business in, holding towels, listening to the ship's heart in the walls, choosing not to be afraid of the next step. People think the big choices announce themselves. Sometimes they look like a lift door closing and you not pressing the button. At 9 they paid me cash that felt warm from other hands and told me to be back at 6 if I wanted another day. We dock at Calais in 48 hours, Marco said. After that, if you want to get off, you get off. If you want to stay, you wear thicker shoes. Do people stay? I asked. He shrugged. Some of us never meant to be here. Then we were. Then we were still. I found a quiet corner at the end of a service corridor with a window the guests probably never noticed. The dark had come and the water wore the ship's lights like jewelry. I put my palm to the glass and felt the cold pretend to be a warning. I thought of my grandmother washing a single plate after her tea, drying it, putting it back in the same place it goes every night. I imagined the radio throwing static like confetti around a voice telling the weather. I could almost hear her say, "Keep your head down," and, softer, "Keep it up." The ship moved forward. I didn't. I am telling this the way it happened because that's the only way I know to tell it right. There was no music. There was no moment where the world paused to let me make a clean, heroic leap. There were only small decisions that piled up until they looked like a life. When the dinner shift ended and the galley began to calm, I was still wearing the jacket that smelled like onions and steam. Marco pointed at a narrow door off the main corridor. "Bunkhouse," he said. "Spare berth. Don't expect privacy. Expect sleep." I stood at the threshold, hand on the handle. Behind me, the galley ticked and sighed like something settling after a long argument. In front of me, the door waited, and beyond it a bed that didn't know my name yet. I didn't think about the estate or the envelope or the radio or the way the ship had already taken my sense of distance and wrung it out. I thought about the morning and the rain and the way the ship had looked from the dock, not for me. "I'll be here at 6, I said to nobody, and pushed the door. That's how it began. Not with her. Not with a kiss in the dark or a hand at my back. It began with a bunk, a borrowed jacket, and a ship moving through the night, taking me somewhere I hadn't learned to deserve. To be continued in part 3. Thanks for watching, please like, share and subscribe.